welcome or welcome back to 4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? I don't know. What I do know is when I sit like this gorgeous leather him and her keychain that my brother-in-law got me does make it look like my hair's even more wafty than usual. So there we go. If you've come here from one of the girlies in the beauty YouTuber growth group, welcome. It's not always quite this manic. Sometimes it's worse. I jest. But seriously, if you have come from them, welcome. I hope you enjoy it here. And if you're one of my regulars or one of my newbies who doesn't know what the beauty YouTuber growth group is, it's a bunch of like-minded ladies with smaller channels. It was started by Lulu, beautiful lady with a beautifully big heart, and we all give each other a shout out in our description boxes to try and spread the love of our small channels. Talking of our small channels, I'm pretty sure you will have read today's description and you will know we are trying to cover up the shadows that I'm not talking about today. We are discussing. I really should have thought more about this, shouldn't I? How about if I move those up that end? Don't mind me while I just blether, will you? Yeah. And then I can maybe cover. Yeah, that works. There we go. I'm gonna. Honestly, I promise I'm usually a lot more organised than this, but I'm coming down from a cold. So that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. So I'm going to be using these 3 Sugarpill shadows. The first time I've ever used Sugarpill. Not just on this channel, but in real life. IRL. Yes, indeed. I am breaking my Sugarpill virginity with this film. So if you want to see exactly how I achieve this look, then you, my friend, are in exactly the right place. Because here comes the tutorial. Hey, welcome back from the intro. Right. Beginning of the year, mother-in-law gave me her cold. I cleared it, had 2 or 3 days where I could do some filming. And then hubby gave me his cold. My in-laws and my husband do like sharing their illnesses. Right, I'm going to try it and do a makeup look today, using some of my low buys. I won a competition. Individual pans. Now, I have swatched these, and I'll put the swatches up on screen now. First 3 are Sugarpill. You've got Suburbia, which is the peach one, the peach matte. Then you've got Kimchi, which is that gorgeous turquoise matte. And then you have Candy Crush, which is the icy blue shimmer. The next 4 are Coloured Rain. The first one is Lemon Drop, which obviously is a matte. Then we have Happy Days, which is like a peachy, satiny shimmer. Then Downtown, which is that gorgeous copper. And that beautiful liquid silver called Flashing Lights. Hello. Now normally I would have zoomed in at this point, but I haven't learnt the names of them yet, so I was having to take them all out, turn them over. With these nails, I'm now going to zoom you in while I start giving my usual speech. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Ange, and my tutorials are aimed at all skill levels, from beginner to expert. So that combined with the fact that why is my tripod misbehaving at the moment? What on earth is going on? Put that like that. Let's see if I can time this up a little. Okay. Come on, tighten up. Okay, that's just spinning, that's really helpful. Not. Right. I think we're about stable-ish. Maybe. Great. Looks like hubby's walloped it one too many times when he's been out here. Right, my tutorials are aimed at all skill levels. That combined with the fact that I suffer with chronic pain means that I don't speed anything up at all. You see real-time blending. If there's a mistake, you see it, you see how I correct it or deal with it. Because of that, my tutorials can be quite long. Now, understandably, if you're a bit more expert, you might get frustrated by that. However, there's a speed widget. Feel free to speed me up. I really won't be offended. But I want someone who has never picked up a brush before to be able to pick up a brush and follow my tutorials. Okay? Good. Now, I do not have hooded eyes. When I look straight ahead, this is really bugging me. I'm really going to have to get myself a new tripod, I think. I can't work out if I'm on the slant or if it's just. I think we're about level. Okay. When I look straight ahead, you can see all of my mobile lid from inner corner to outer corner. At the moment, it's drooping a bit here where I'm still slightly unwell, but you can see all of that mobile lid. So I don't have a hooded lid. If you don't see that, you've either got a full or a half hooded lid, or what's known as a mono or an Asian eye. Now, what I do have, however, is deep set eyes. Now, if I put, because I'm blind in this eye, so I can demonstrate by closing it. If I put this brush here and then close my eye, you can see I've got as much lid again, if not more, above it, which folds back in. So I do experience some of the problems that people with hooded lids have, in that I do get shimmers and glitters and stuff transferring up onto the upper lid. However, you only really notice that if I'm closing my eyes, and I can get around it by using a glitter glue if I'm really that worried, which 9 times out of 10 I'm not. However, you can still follow my tutorial if you have hooded lids. All you need to do, grab a brush, something like this, and then with the first colour that we're going to be using, with your eye open, just sketch out where you need your crease line to be. Now obviously this is going to increase or decrease the space between your crease line and your brow. Always raise your brows when you're putting colour on them. The bad pain day words not coming. English is actually my first language, but it does decrease the space. Always raise your brows when you're putting shadows on. There's the word I was looking for. Because that helps, because you know I'm 44 years old, a couple of months I'm going to be 45. I've also lost about 10 stone over the years, so my eyelids move. And this one, where I got pulled around a lot as a 5-6-year-old child at the ophthalmic, I've got really, really deep creases here, as you can see. So I'm going to be showing you some techniques where the way that you apply the shadow moves the skin on your eyes very, very gently, so that you don't get that bar coding or that tiger striping or the gapping. Now, if you still are worried about not having much space between your crease and your brow, look at the brushes we're going to be using. Now I'm going to be starting off with brushes this sort of shape to start with. I'm not going to be using these ones because, as you can see, they need to be cleaned. But these are the best ones to demonstrate the different sizes. Now I'm going to start off with a really loose fluffy brush like this. Then I'm going to come down to a slightly more tapered fluffy brush. If you have less space here, either because your brows are low or because you've had to move your crease up or for whatever reason, when I start with this, you start with this. When I move down to this brush, you then need to come down to something like this. Now this is a tapered crease brush from Coastal Scents. So you can see it's still loosely packed, so it's still great for blending, but it comes right up to a point. So you can really get close in, and if you only put a little bit of shadow on the end, you can really control how far it blows it out. Now, obviously, if you're using a smaller brush, it's going to take longer to blend your shadow out. But we've already had that discussion. I'm not exactly Speedy Gonzales when it comes to brushes and blending. Anyway, talking of brushes, I'm trying out a new set. I bought these from, believe it or not, AliExpress. Anymore. I think they might even be Ranimore. I think they are Ranimore. But anyway, these, they had two options. They had this sort of like a taupey handle, or they had black handles, and I prefer the taupey handles. These are so soft, and I got a set of, I think, 12 of them for £2.60. Ridiculous, ridiculous price. If I can find a picture, I'll stick it up here now and show you exactly what the whole set was, and I will try and remember to link it in my description box below. But I thought I'd give these ones a go because I'll be quite honest, where I've not been well, I haven't had time to wash my brushes, and I wanted to try out these brushes, and they arrived, and I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, let's give these a go. I've got my colour switch to tap off into, but this sponge is actually starting to tear a bit now. So I'm going to be using a washcloth just for changing the colours on my brush. Right, I think I've covered everything. Shall we start chucking some colour onto my lids? Is that a good idea? Is that a good plan? Yeah, right. I'm going to start off with the Sugarpill Peach Matte, which I've forgotten the name of already. But I told you it earlier, and if I remember, editing me will put the name on screen, and if I don't, I don't. So, I've put colour on and tapped off. Now to start off with, we're going to do a windscreen wiper movement from the outer corner to the inner corner and back again. Now I'm going to follow my bone structure, that's the socket of my eye there that I'm going to follow. If you've had to move your crease up, then you follow your crease line. I always put the brush down on the outside edge first, because if you do end up putting too much down, it's so much easier to blend it out this side than it is over here with your nose in the way. So, I always hold the brush right at the very end so that I put as little pressure as possible on my lids. And let's start off just sliding that brush. Oh, this is so soft, it's really nice. Because I've got this cold, my fibro is really playing up, and this is super soft on my lids. This is, I'd even go so far as to say this is softer than my Spectrum brushes that I've got. I'm going to order another set of these, I think. Right, so I've got the first line laid down. So I'm going to pick up some more shadow on the brush, tap off. Now this time I'm going to keep the bottom of the brushes or bristles in contact with that line, and we're going to do tiny little circular movements across to the middle, and then without lifting our brush off, we're going to move the brush up a bit, reverse the direction and come back again. By doing this really gently, holding the brush at the end still to put as little pressure as possible on, the bristles will gently move the skin on our eyes, and hopefully we shouldn't get any gapping. I will show you what I mean. Okay, so eyebrows raised, circular movements to the middle, lift your brush up a bit, reverse the direction, come back. Now because I've got deep set eyes, I've got a lot of lid to play with, so I can actually go up again, go back to the original direction and come back across to the middle. Now I like to leave 4 or 5 mils, or about a brush width, from the lowest part of my brow and leave a nice bare patch here, because I just think it looks nicer. It's a more modern way of using your colour rather than taking it right up to the brow. And if you are doing an all shimmer look, then when you put your brow highlight on, it really pumps. I did forget to say my face has been washed, moisturised, SPF'd and primed And yes, this was a mascara which, even with my oil-based cleansers, is not coming off very well, and in fact, I think it might have been one of the shadows I was using that stained my skin a bit as well. All I've got on my lids is Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer, which I've set with Coty Airspun. Now, with my skin, because of where I have creasing and I have stress eczema occasionally, I know that this part here and this part here don't like colour. They don't like holding on to colour. Now this bit I'm not too worried about because I'm going to be banging other colours on, but I do want to deepen up the shading just at this top bit here, because I do know that it doesn't hold colour well. So I've added some more colour on, and the way that I'm going to deal with this is the way that I would deal with a loose pigment rather than a pressed shadow, which is I'm just going to very lightly tap it where I want the colour to be. Very gently, just tap it into place rather than doing the circular movements. Okay? And I wanted to build some of the colour up a little bit more because I want it a little bit more vibrant than that. I'm actually quite surprised. I thought that these Sugarpill shadows were going to be really in your face, but I mean, this one's, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice shadow, but it's not the fireworks I was expecting, let's put it that way. So just deepen that colour up at the top there. It is a very pretty colour and it is building up nicely, but I wasn't expecting to have to build it up quite this much to get the depth of colour that I wanted. So that really surprises me, because everyone always raves about Sugarpill, saying what great shadow formula they are. You know, and I'm dipping into this quite a bit to build this colour up. So that actually surprises me. Okay, that's the sort of colour that I want. Now, to make sure that we don't have any gapping, I'm very, very lightly going to do tiny windscreen wipers up and down in overlapping stripes, just to make sure that when we did the circles we've not missed anything. Okay, like so. Now I'm going to repeat that on the other eye. Now obviously the other eye is going to be a little bit quicker to do because I'm not talking you through each stage, I'm just repeating what I did. So windscreen wiper, and obviously with this eye I can actually close it, so when we come down to doing the details a bit later on you'll probably find it easier to see. And then we go into our circular movements. Now, because this eye has very, very deep creasing, sometimes this circular movement doesn't move the skin quite enough, and I do still get some tiger striping, but I always start off like this to try and blend it out as much as I can without pulling the skin on my lids around very much. As you can probably hear, I didn't tap off anywhere near as much this time. I mean, there's not a lot of fallout, to be honest, even when you don't tap off, so maybe that's the answer with these ones. I'm doing my base afterwards because obviously I've not used these before, so I don't know what the fallout's like. So, and then once I'm happy with the fact that the colour matches, just gently up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, if I very gently pull that out, I don't know if you can see because it is quite a light colour, but there is still striping here. So I'm going to pick up the tiniest bit on my brush and just holding that lid out taut, very, very lightly blend those stripes away. Okay, quite like that. That is such a pretty, pretty peach colour. If I put it darker this side than this side, I think I have actually. Let's bung a bit of extra colour this side just to. I often do that. One of the perils of being blind in one eye is that in my mirror they look to be the same depth of colour, and then I'll look in my viewfinder here and go, no, it's not. But, you know, as Bob Ross used to say when he was painting, there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. So, you know. And with 2019's colour of the year being coral, although this is peach, this could actually be quite a nice colour to take you through into the summer. Right, so I'm just cleaning the excess pigment off of that brush, and I'm now going to come down to a more tapered brush. That was the Flawless Concealer brush, apparently, number 5. And now I'm going to come down to what they're calling contour brush number 9, but it's still a blending brush, it's just more tightly, you know, it's more condensed. So if you started with this brush, now's the time to move down to this one. Okay, so I'm going to go into the blue, the kimchi. I actually remember the name of that one. Wow. Okay, tap off, and I'm going to start off just by tapping some of this colour. Oh, hello. Some of this colour on the outer third of my mobile lid, this side. Now that's the kind of impact I was expecting from a Sugarpill shadow. So perhaps it was just that peach was meant to be more pastel, perhaps. Right, pick up some more colour on the brush, and we're going to do windscreen wiper again, like we did before. Going over the peach. Okay. Now this time what we're going to do, I'm not going to add any more colour to this brush, and instead of having the bottom of the bristles in contact with the line, I kind of want the middle of the brush in contact with it. I'm going to do as tiny, tiny little circles as possible, because all I want to do is really gently fluff the edges of this blue line. Okay, so we're still going to do circular movements across to the middle like we did before, and when we get here we're still going to reverse the direction. We're just not going to go up the eye this time. I'm doing a really simple 3 colour look today, or 3 shadow look I should say. So just really, just gently, just blow the edges of that line out and go backwards and forwards as often as you need to. And then once you're happy, I just tend to sort of come down and drag a bit of extra pigment onto that outer corner there and just give it a bit of a wiggle waggle. I like that. I can see now why everyone likes this particular shade. And now I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this eye. So 1 dot there, 1 dot next to it, and 1 dot above it, and then basically kind of just blend those 3 together in tiny little tapping motions, just to get the definition on the outer corner of the eye. Go in, pick up more shadow, and we're going to windscreen wiper. Oh, sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. Like I said, I think I've still got some of this cold, to be honest. And it's time for the twirly whirlies, or the helicopters, or sycamore leaves, or whatever you want to term this. just to really gently blow the edges of that blue out. We're not taking it up the eye, we just want to concentrate it in our crease, or if we've had to create a crease. Any darker colours recede backwards, lighter colours come forwards. What we're trying to do, especially if you have had to move your crease up, we're trying to increase the illusion of depth of the colour going back into the eye. And if you've had to move your crease up and you're creating a new one, this will help give that definition so that the eye doesn't look flat, because obviously you're going to be doing it on your lid. Okay, so once you're happy with both sides, which, yes, I like very much, I'm going to clean this brush off. And I am going to go into the shimmer. Now, I usually apply shimmers wet, partly because it means you get less fallout, and also because normally you will then get much more reflective finish. Now, that is not foiling your shadow. Foiling your shadow means that you mix it on a plate with a mixing medium to a paste or a liquid to apply. This is literally just applying shadows wet. But never go into a shadow with a wet brush. I see people do that all the time and I just want to scream at them to stop. Because if you go into a shimmer with a wet brush, you run the risk of sealing that shadow over, of getting hard pan and making it very difficult then to pick colour up next time you go. Now I'm going to try the medium shader brush number 2, which is rounded and slightly flat, as you can see. I'm going to pick some colour up onto the bristles. Now I'm going to be using this Makeup Obsession Pigment Boost. You can use anything you like. You can use a moisturising spray like Fix Plus or Mario Badescu. You can use a priming spray, you can use a setting spray, you can even use clean water. And we're just going to spritz the shadow, and then I always wipe this ferrule bit dry, because I don't want any of that liquid to sort of go into here and loosen the glue holding the bristles on. Right, this is the fun bit. This is when we now apply this to the 2/3 of the lid that so far doesn't have any shadow on it. This is a really pretty blue. This to me is like Elsa from Frozen. Just gonna pop that on the rest of the eye. That is so pretty. I'm just going to really gently just buff backwards and forwards where that meets the matte shadow there. How striking is that? Now, you know what I didn't check on the other eye? My tiger striping. So let's just... Because what I have noticed with this eye, if you have really deep creases like I have there, you may find that you're going to want to do what I do with this eye, which I'll talk you through in just a minute, because what I'm going to do first is take the pigment off of this brush and dry it. Now if I were using my colour switch, I would take the pigment off of the brush and then I would run the brush on my hand like this to make sure it's dry, but obviously if I'm using a washcloth it dries it anyway, because I am not going back in with a wet brush. I'm actually going to pop some pigment on both sides of the brush this time. And I'm going to repeat what I did before and just wet the pigment on the brush. Now, with this eye in particular, because of those deep creases, what I have found with shimmers is that if I don't gently stretch the eye out to apply it, the shimmers kind of skip across, and then as it dries I end up with mega fallout coming down my eye throughout the day. So I do have to really gently hold the skin on my lid out taut. Now if I let go, see how smaller that section is? That's why I put pigment on both sides of the brush, because I know that I usually end up using a little bit more pigment this side. So rather than having to dry the brush and then pick up more pigment again, I tend to just put pigment on both sides for this eye. And again, same thing, just gently buff over where it meets the matte shade on the side there. That is a really pretty blue. Seriously, if you've got a kid who wants to be Elsa, this is the blue you need. This is just absolutely cracking. Right, I am going to pop off of camera and I'm going to put foundation and stuff on, and I will be back to finish off this eye look with you. Now in YouTube world, hopefully that's going to be in an instant. Obviously it's going to take me a tad longer, so see you, I guess, right now. Okay, I am back. I have bunged various products on my face. Not really reviewing those, so if you want to know what they are, I'm going to try and start linking what I'm actually wearing in the description box if I remember. Right, I am going to pick up this large shader brush one, so similar shape to the one I've just used, but fluffier and chunkier, as you can see. And I'm going to go into the kimchi and literally just pick some pigment up on the very tips of the bristles, and just very gently just run that underneath my lower lashes. Now because I've got very sensitive eyes, it's why you don't very often see me put false lashes on, and it's why I don't tend to put anything on my actual waterline, because my eyes do water all year round. It's one of the side effects of my fibro. So if I put anything on my waterline, I'm yet to find anything that will stay there without doing it like this and making like a horrible little eye booger in the middle, or just completely wearing off by the end of, 2 hours. So I'm just gonna, because I went a little bit lower on this side, I'm just gonna even this side up a little bit. This is such a pretty colour. I'm flinching this side because obviously I don't have any peripheral vision, so I'm kind of relying on muscle memory and my viewfinder not to poke myself in the eye, and that doesn't always work. Okay, I'm gonna very briefly pause you again while I do mascara, etc., and I will come back for my final thoughts on those Sugarpill shadows. Again, I'll see you instantly. Hey, okay, I'm back. As you can see, hair as usual is doing whatever it wants to. So, lips wise, I used MAC Velvet Teddy and topped it with this NYX Lingerie Gloss in Butter because I just thought it really complemented nicely. Velvet Teddy's got like a peachy undertone which picks up well on this. I just think it lets the eyes be the whoom. Might have gone a little bit heavy with the blush today, but yeah, let's just call it an 80s look, shall we? So, what do I think of the Sugarpill shadows? The two blues, I can really see why people love those. That kimchi shade went on, stunning pigment, blended really well, didn't lose any tone when it was blending. The peach, it's a lovely colour, it blended really well, but it took a lot more work to build up than I was originally expecting. That being said, do I recommend these shadows? Yes, if you can afford them and there's a colour you want that you don't have in any of your other palettes that you really want to try, or like me, if you're just really curious about are those Sugarpill ones really as good as people say, then yeah, definitely give it a try. I really, really like the result. I think it's a beautiful spring, summery type look, which, you know me, I'd wear this in midwinter. Technically, it's January, it is still midwinter, and I'm rocking a peachy turquoise look because why the hell not? You know what? Makeup rules? Who needs them? So, I really hope you enjoyed this simple tutorial using just the three colours. And if you did, it'd be awesome if you could hit that like button for me, comment, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, don't forget to ring my bell, and choose all notifications, and then you will get told every time that I upload another one of these videos. And talking of another one of these videos, I've got a lot to choose from now. Why don't you pop over and see if you've missed any, or if you're new, sweetie, you can binge watch. You can binge watch to your heart's content. I've got a lot of different playlists that you can wander through if there are particular things that interest you. But failing that, you just go and have fun with the back catalogue and listen to more of me blethering, really. And once you've watched and liked and commented and shared all of mine, it'd be awesome if you could check out my gorgeous girlies in the Beauty YouTuber Growth Group, who are, as ever, listed in my description box below. They will be absolutely delighted to welcome you to their channels, as I hope you felt welcomed to this one. Right, all that remains for me to say, as ever, is you'll stay fabulous, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.